the most mysterious woman in history, Queen Bilqis, a woman mentioned in the Quran who was half jinn, half human. She was the wife of Prophet Sulaiman, Solomon. Bilqis ruled a kingdom that stretched from southern Arabia to Africa. There are some incredible facts about her you should know. Since some historians claim she was half human and half jinn, the question is, could Prophet Sulaiman, the king of the jinn, truly marry a jinn while being a human? What does Islamic history say about this? This incident began with a small bird. The bird, named Hudhud in the Quran, could understand human speech and was Prophet Sulaiman's trusted spy, bringing back important political news from distant lands. If you're ready, let's explore the whole story in detail. The army of Sulaiman. Prophet Sulaiman's army was one of the strangest armies in history. This force consisted of humans, jinn, birds, and other animals. Even the wind would carry Prophet Sulaiman wherever he wished. The human forces included infantry and cavalry. The jinn soldiers were invisible to the human eye. This army was made so formidable that enemies couldn't even see many of its members. Some birds and animals also joined the army. The lion was the leader of the animal forces, followed by the tiger. The bird corps included many hawks and predatory birds. The Hudhud bird was in charge of the intelligence division. Hudhud's duty was to fly far away and keep an eye on the enemy. He would observe and learn everything, then return and report. Hudhud's role was extremely sensitive and important. When the army assembled, many animals noticed Hudhud was absent. They began to whisper among themselves. The commander would soon arrive and realize Hudhud was missing. The whispering intensified when Prophet Sulaiman finally approached the troops. He arrived and saw that Hudhud wasn't there. Hudhud's discovery. In fact, Hudhud was in the land of Saba, Sheba. He had traveled a great distance, feeling that he would uncover some important news. He landed on a tall tree overlooking the city. From there, he observed the streets, houses, palaces, and gates, everything. He sensed something unusual. People seemed to be gathering for some kind of ceremony. So he asked another Hudhud living in the city, "Oh, beautiful Hudhud, please tell me what is happening in the city?" "The people are going to see the Queen of Sheba. They will all prostrate before the sun there." Sulaiman's spybird was now certain his feeling was correct. He first saw the guards, then the commanders and soldiers, and finally the Queen of Sheba herself emerged from her throne. She descended from her throne and led the people. She raised her two hands and prostrated before the sun, and all of the people prostrated with her. Hudhud noted everything and wondered how Prophet Sulaiman would react to this news. He immediately took flight and returned. After many days of exhausting travel, he arrived at the place where Sulaiman's entire army was gathered. All the birds surrounded him, and they were all furious. A little sparrow was the first to speak. "Where have you been? Prophet Sulaiman has been asking about you. We hope you have a proper explanation." The fear intensified within Hudhud. He decided he must go to Prophet Sulaiman and apologize right away. Trembling, he flew towards Prophet Sulaiman's tent. Prophet Sulaiman was having dinner then. Hudhud flew in through the window and quietly sat in a corner of the table. He tried to stay away from Sulaiman's hand, his head bowed in fear. He slowly and respectfully offered his salam. He raised his head, but could only look up to Sulaiman's hand and chest. He had learned much from his leader and knew that to touch Prophet Sulaiman's heart, he had to tell the truth clearly. "My king, I have brought news of a nation you do not know about. In a distant land, I saw a woman ruling over the people of Saba. She sits on a grand throne and possesses things no one could easily acquire. But I saw that she and her people prostrate to the sun instead of Allah. Shaitan has made their deeds seem pleasing to them." These words were powerful. Hudhud showed that his absence had a real reason. He was on an important mission. Prophet Sulaiman began to respond. "We must certainly verify if what you are saying is true. I will write a letter. You will deliver it to them and see how they react." Hudhud quickly flew away with the letter towards the land of Saba. He landed on a tree in the royal palace garden and searched for the queen's chamber. He saw a vast room with a large balcony. He realized it was the queen's room. With the letter in his beak, he flew towards the open window and entered. He decided to hide behind a structure on the roof. He looked out and saw the queen sleeping in her bed. Her hair was spread over the pillow. Her face was extremely beautiful. As he observed her beauty, a kind of sadness arose in his heart. With so much beauty, wealth, and power, why would someone prostrate before the sun? Hudhud thought this. He felt that Shaitan had deceived them. Shaitan had forced them to worship something that was not the true God. But how did he do it? If Sulayman's army were to fight the people of Saba, the outcome was clear. Yes, the queen was powerful, but she could not defeat the prophet's army. Sulayman's soldiers could easily occupy them. Hudhud wondered, should I drop the letter now? Or wait for her to wake up? He did not know what the letter contained. While he was thinking all this, the letter suddenly slipped from his beak and fell on the queen's bed. The queen opened her eyes and saw a letter in front of her. She quickly looked around but could not see anyone. Feeling a sense of fear, she quietly opened the letter and began to read. "This message is from Sulaiman, in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. I invite you to believe in the one God. Do not be arrogant towards me. Come to me and surrender." The queen became angry and looked around again, searching for who brought the letter, but seeing no one increased her rage. She called her guards and asked, "Who dared to enter my chamber? Who did this?" The guards were astonished. They said, "No one entered the queen's room." They informed her that they had their swords drawn out and eyes open. They swore that no one had even come near the queen's room. Meanwhile, the Hudhud bird was hidden in an empty space on the roof and heard everything. Queen Bilqis shouted, "Then where did this letter come from?" She picked up the letter. The guards made various guesses about how the letter arrived, but no one had seen anything. They were stunned, not knowing what to say. The council. Queen Bilqis immediately called an emergency meeting with her advisors. The advisors gathered. Queen Bilqis led the meeting. She said, "Oh, my advisors, I have received a very important letter. It is from Sulaiman." He began his letter with the name of Allah, Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. He has asked me to come to him without arrogance. Tell me, what should we do? One advisor said, "This means Sulaiman wants us to surrender to him. It sounds like a call to war. Let us fight." Another said, "We are also strong. Let's fight him and show him our strength." Almost everyone agreed with this opinion. But a wise advisor suddenly asked, "Where is the messenger who brought this letter? Without him, Sulaiman's true intention cannot be understood." Queen Bilqis answered that she did not know. She said she woke up to find the letter on her bed. Another advisor added, "This matter is a bit terrifying. I suggest we wait. If Sulaiman can send a message in such a strange and powerful way, without a messenger, then who knows how formidable his war capability is? So, should we wait and see?" Queen Bilqis said, "When a king attacks a country, they destroy everything and humiliate and weaken the honorable people. I fear the same might happen to us, so I propose we send some gifts and observe his reaction through the envoys." No one objected, so the queen's suggestion was accepted. The Hudhud bird heard the entire conversation. As soon as the meeting ended, it flew away. The gifts. It was announced in the land of Saba that a gift made of gold and gems should be prepared at any cost. They told the queen it must be a royal gift. Sulaiman was a powerful and terrifying man, and only a valuable gift might please him. The future of the kingdom depended on his favor. The artist of the kingdom began working day and night to create this special gift. They used various valuable materials. Finally, the gift was ready. It was a golden tray. On both sides were two wolves made of gold and gems. When Queen Bilqis saw this wonderful and expensive gift, she was delighted. She asked her envoys to prepare and deliver it to Sulaiman. She also sent one of her generals to learn more about Sulaiman's military power. She told her envoys, "Try to find out what Sulaiman really wants from us and how powerful his army is." Prophet Sulaiman had already learned about the queen's counsel through Hudhud. When Hudhud was circling the border, he saw the convoy of envoys and quickly returned to Sulaiman with the news. Hearing from him, he understood that the queen was sending gifts. He also realized that the queen's real intention was to gauge his attitude and the strength of his soldiers. Therefore, Sulaiman commanded his army to prepare and line up to receive the queen's envoys. He also sent some people to greet them. Prophet Sulaiman had one goal.
I want them to feel defeated before they even meet me. Queen Bilqis's envoys suddenly came across a massive army. They started counting the number of soldiers and noted down which animals were in this force. Their astonishment knew no bounds when they saw that Sulaiman's army consisted not only of humans but also of lions, tigers, elephants, birds, and many other animals. They also saw that this army could travel from one place to another using the wind. Their eyes widened and their mouths dropped in amazement. This army was utterly different, majestic, and terrifying. They understood that they could never wage war against such a force. When they noticed some weapons moving on their own, their fear increased further. They looked at each other and questioned in terror, "What is that?" The officer who was showing them around calmly replied, "Those are just a few Jinn soldiers performing morning exercises." The envoys were stunned and became even more eager to meet Sulaiman. But Prophet Sulaiman refused to meet them directly. Instead, he sent one of his commanders to talk to them. The officer invited the envoys to lunch at the palace. The envoys looked around and realized how trivial and worthless their gifts seemed compared to the glory and power of Sulaiman's kingdom. Nevertheless, they handed over the gifts with shyness and embarrassment. The officer took the gifts to Sulaiman's chamber, but returned shortly with the same gifts. He placed them on the table and said, "Prophet Sulaiman has refused to accept these gifts." Then he delivered Sulaiman's message. "Do you think you can influence us with your wealth? What Allah has given us is far better than what you have. Take your gifts back. If we come to you with an army you cannot even imagine, then Prophet Sulaiman will drive you out of the city with disgrace." The envoys were terrified. One of their officials asked, "What does Sulaiman really want from us? Please tell us clearly so we can inform the queen." He calmly replied, "Prophet Sulaiman wants only one thing, that your queen and people surrender to him." They understood that this message was a call for peace on one hand and a severe warning on the other. So the envoys returned to Queen Bilqis to convey Sulaiman's words. Bilqis's decision. When the envoys arrived, the queen was sleeping. However, she had instructed her servants to wake her up immediately if the envoys returned. So, even though they didn't want to disturb her, they woke her up. Queen Bilqis opened her eyes and met with the envoys. She asked, "Tell me, what did Sulaiman say after receiving the gifts?" The envoys explained that they could not meet Sulaiman. One of his commanders had accepted the gifts and taken them to the Prophet, but sadly, Sulaiman did not accept the gifts. He returned the gifts to us. They also delivered Sulaiman's message. Hearing this, the queen bowed her head in thought. Sulaiman did not accept her gifts, nor did he welcome the envoys. She asked them for more details about everything they had seen. She understood that Sulaiman would only accept one thing: surrender. The envoys also described the strength of Sulaiman's army. When the queen heard that his army included jinn and animals, she realized how serious the situation was. If she chose the path of war, she might lose everything. Now only one path remained: to try to reason with Sulaiman in another way. She looked at the gifts and thought deeply. Then she decided to gather the members of the royal court and the war advisors. This meeting would be extremely important. The throne. Meanwhile, Prophet Sulaiman called a meeting in his city. His council included ministers, commanders, war experts, and learned scholars. 2 lions were on guard duty, protecting the meeting. The Hudhud bird was also there, ready to report. Prophet Sulaiman started the meeting. I praise him who has given us all this wealth and power. Although there was immense anger in his heart, he did not express it outwardly. He said, how is it possible that while we are alive and carrying the banner of Tawhid, there are still people on earth who worship the sun? This is a failure and a shame for us. Sulaiman was not ruling for his own glory, but as a representative of Allah's kingdom. This is why he felt both anger and a sense of responsibility. Then the commander stood up. With a sword in his hand, he said, just give the command and I will destroy the throne of the Queen of Saba and this nation that denies Allah. But Sulaiman said, I do not like violence. We must find another way. I hope the Queen herself will come here and meet me. But before she arrives, who among you can bring her throne here? Then a Jinn said, I can bring your throne before you even before you rise. You know how strong I am. But then a scholar who had special knowledge from Allah, Ilme Laduni, said, I can bring your throne before you even before you blink your eye. When Sulaiman accepted this offer, Bilqis's throne suddenly appeared before him. No human had ever done such a thing before. Everyone was stunned. The throne was vast and royal. Everyone looked at it and was silently lost in thought. The Hudhud bird was also there trying to understand the meaning of this miracle. The journey. Meanwhile, in the city of Saba, the royal court and war council were meeting. Queen Bilqis was leading the session. The queen said tiredly, Today we face a terrible situation. Sulaiman wants us to surrender to him. He threatens to destroy our power. I ask for your help. Let's find a solution. The advisors agreed. Perhaps only the queen going to Sulaiman herself with a bigger gift can bring peace. But they also said that if this gift was also rejected, then war was the only option, and this war might erase their existence from history. Everyone looked at Queen Bilqis as their last hope, so the queen decided to take the risk. She would go to Sulaiman's palace herself. Preparations began. Plans were made to create new, even more beautiful and expensive gifts. Prophet Sulaiman knew that the queen's idea of power and progress was wrong. She was proud of her country's art and technology, but Prophet Sulaiman wanted to teach her an important truth. Real superiority and true progress only come when one is under the banner of Tawhid, believing in the oneness of Allah. No system can survive without faith in Allah. If you lose the world but gain Allah, then you are the winner. But if you gain the whole world and lose Allah, what is the profit? Prophet Sulaiman, a wise prophet, did not just command to bring Bilqis's throne, he gave another instruction. The design of the throne must be changed. When Sulaiman saw the symbol of the sun on the throne, he said, What foolishness! Does anyone worship the sun? Even if the sun was made of gold, prostrating before it is utterly meaningless. He instructed some parts of the throne to be altered. According to his instructions, the redesigning of the throne began. The Palace of Glass. Meanwhile, as Queen Bilqis was completing preparations for her journey, she commanded a caravan to be prepared to travel with her. At this time, Sulaiman called the best architect in his kingdom and asked, Do you know why I have called you? I want to build a palace that is built upon water, that looks as if it is floating in the water. Its entrance will be transparent, so that when someone looks down, they will think it is just water. The architect said, If that is what you want, then I will use pure glass for the floor so that the water below is clearly visible. Sulaiman said, Yes, that would be perfect. Can you tell me how long it will take to complete this construction? The architect replied, If you allow the help of the Jinn, it will be finished in 2 weeks. But if only humans build it, it will take a long time. I will command the Jinn to help, but I want the floor to be completely transparent glass so that the water below is fully visible.
The architect asked again, My lord, do you want anything special for the roof or the walls? Sulaiman replied, What do you think? The architect said, I think the roof should be made of glass. Then the sunlight will reflect on the water and create a wonderful sight. I also suggest the walls be made of mirrors. Prophet Sulaiman was pleased with these ideas and ordered the architect to begin the work. The architect started the work. Within a few days, a magnificent palace began to rise above the water. And just then, Queen Bilqis was nearing Sulaiman's territory. The Hudhud bird was waiting for the queen at the border with an officer. Along the way, the queen noticed various strange things. The stories the envoys told were all true. This country was full of wonders. The closer she got to the palace, the more astonished she became. She saw a part of Sulaiman's army. It was the most powerful, terrifying force she had ever seen. Her fear grew deeper. Her heart pounded, and she struggled to breathe. This force did not seem human. It must have been formed with the help of some divine power. After seeing all this, she began to doubt the glory and progress of her own kingdom. Her self-confidence started to crumble as she reached the city. Arrogance and pride began to melt away. Her fear gradually turned into respect and awe. And very soon, she was about to enter the palace that Sulaiman had specially built. The scene she faced was entirely unique. Sulaiman's kingdom was not only built with wealth and glory, it was full of beauty and artistry. Golden pillars, gem-encrusted doors, and handcrafted ornamentation in every corner dazzled her eyes. But the most astonishing was the floor of the entrance to Sulaiman's palace. It was made of glass. Below it flowed sparkling clear water. It shone so brightly that it looked like a deep pool. Queen Bilqis was walking slowly towards the palace, thinking the floor was indeed water. So she lifted her dress so it wouldn't get wet. And at that moment, her feet became visible. Half jinn, half human. Now we reach the most mysterious part of the story. According to some old sources, Sulaiman had built this glass floor with a secret purpose. It was not just for beauty, it was a test. Why? Because Prophet Sulaiman, who controlled the jinn, had received some secret information. Rumors circulated that Bilqis was no ordinary human. Some people believed she was half human and half jinn. Prophet Sulaiman knew the nature of the jinn very well. He also knew that most jinn had hair on their legs. So he had the glass floor made to look like water so that Bilqis would lift her dress, and at that moment he could see her legs and verify his suspicion. Bilqis might not have been an ordinary human, but why did some people believe she was half jinn? This idea is found in various religious and cultural sources in different ways. Some stories say that Bilqis was born from the union of a human and a jinn. One tale states that her mother was a human queen and her father was an ifrit, a powerful jinn. This is why Bilqis possessed human beauty and some jinn-like physical characteristics. The Quran does not directly state whether she was human or jinn. Ethiopian texts do not describe her as being of jinn descent. Instead, they portray her as a wise and spiritual human queen. Those stories emphasized her wisdom and piety more than her physical features. So, what do Islamic sources say? Most Islamic scholars agree that Bilqis was a human. The rumors about her being half jinn were actually spread by the jinn themselves. Why? Because they did not want Sulaiman to be interested in Bilqis or marry her. The jinn feared that if Sulaiman had a son, he might rule like his father and use Sulaiman's secret knowledge to employ the jinn again. They worked under Sulaiman by force and hoped that when Sulaiman died, they would be freed. But if his son ruled, they would be imprisoned again. And most jinn are known to be liars, not only in Sulaiman's time, but in all ages. Prophet Sulaiman knew this very well, so he arranged this situation to be certain. And when he saw Bilqis's legs and realized they were like those of a normal human, his suspicion was cleared. Submission. When Bilqis crossed the glass floor, Sulaiman was sure she was a human. Then, Sulaiman showed Queen Bilqis her throne. Queen Bilqis was stunned with amazement. Prophet Sulaiman asked her, "Is this your throne?" Bilqis looked closely, unable to figure out exactly what to say. The throne looked exactly like her own, but something was changed. Finally, she said, "It looks like my throne." Under the throne, Sulaiman had placed a message. "We are those who surrender to Allah." Bilqis looked even deeper and realized it was indeed her own throne. Somehow, it had been brought here from her palace before she arrived, and some changes were made. This was yet another proof of the extraordinary power Allah had granted Prophet Sulaiman. Queen Bilqis was deep in thought. The more she pondered, the more she realized how weak and foolish her nation's belief was compared to Prophet Sulaiman's rational and knowledge-based thinking. She was invited to lunch that day. Prophet Sulaiman sat next to her and began the conversation. He said, "Allah, the Lord of all the worlds, the greatest, the most merciful, I say in his words, He created the sun for the service of humans. Just as the butterfly and the lotus in the garden are guided by Allah's will, the sun is also a part of Allah's creation dedicated to his service. For a great creation like humans to prostrate to any other creation is an insult to human intelligence, even if it is the sun." Queen Bilqis then understood that the sun, which they had worshipped for so long, was actually a beautiful trap set by Shaitan. For the first time, the brilliance of the sun faded in her heart, and a new light, which never sets, ignited in her heart. Just then, her advisors arrived and said, "The sun is about to set. Now is the time for our daily sun worship." "Oh, fools, do you still believe the sun is worthy of worship? Shaitan presented our entire belief to us as beautiful. Leave this place." The advisors became frightened without hearing what Prophet Sulaiman had said and quickly moved away. For the first time, a warm, beautiful feeling flowed in the queen's heart. It was like the colors of a rainbow reflecting the feelings in her heart. Queen Bilqis realized that the time had come to embrace Islam. With deep emotion, she confessed that she had been deceiving herself all this time, and she accepted Islam. Very soon, the people of Saba followed their queen. They abandoned sun worship and began to prostrate only before Allah. And all this started on the day when the little Hudhud bird had a feeling in his heart and expressed that news with his voice when other birds had already flown away. This story is described in our holy book, Al-Quran Al-Karim. It reminds us of the immense value of knowledge, the high status of the knowledgeable, and that true knowledge is a gift from Allah. We should be grateful for it.